Step into the super crowd, where dreams take flight. Learn to invest like a pro, make your future bright. Impact investing, changing the game. Crowdfund the world, it'll never be the same. SuperCrowdHour, come join the ride. Change the world with us, we're on your side. SuperCrowdHour, come join the ride. Change the world with us, we're on your side.
Welcome to the Super Crowd Hour. I'm your host, and today I'm your trainer, Devin Thorpe. And this is a really important topic we're covering today. We're talking about choosing your portal, and for a regulation crowdfunding campaign. We've got a lot of great content. This is one of the most important decisions you will make. And I get asked all the time. People come to me, they said, Devin, you kind of know what you're doing with crowdfunding. Which portal should I use? It's interesting when I don't get asked that. Oftentimes I discover that people have chosen a portal because they didn't know any others existed. And there are close to 100 different portals you could use. So it's really worth investing your time to listen to the show, watch the show today, and to dig deep when you are ready to do your crowdfunding campaign. Make sure that you are choosing your regulated investment crowdfunding portal wisely. And to be clear, when we talk about this stuff, I'm not talking about Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe. When we talk about crowdfunding today, we're talking about regulated investment crowdfunding, the sale of securities in your business using a crowdfunding model. So with that, let's kind of jump in and get to work. We have really a great program for you today, and I am excited to share. So we'll be talking about how to choose a portal, and I'm going to talk about how to use AI to help you complete your analysis, because if there are 100 portals to be choosing from, or nearly that many, that's a lot of data to process. This is where computers can really be helpful. You need more than just a Google search to do this well. So, wait a minute, what have I done here? We got a little off track there. Not sure what I did, but I want to thank Chandon, who is my kind of our Go team member. He is our show producer. He is our event technology manager, but he's so much more. Chandon has been working with me for about a dozen years now. We've become friends, and he is really in so many ways a partner in this work. I want to just remind you that we're going to talk about money today, but I am not a financial advisor, and I'm certainly not your financial advisor. Providing some education, some information. Before you make any financial decisions, you need to talk with your advisors. We're building a movement here. We're not merely working through some logistics. We're trying to actually build a community and a movement that is actively seeking to change the world. One of the key things that we do to build that movement is we operate a small angel investor group. We meet every month and we look at Reg CF deals using a combination of AI tools, resources from the community, and the team here at the SuperCrowd. We literally look at every new offering that comes along. There are hundreds every year, but that means there are only a couple new ones every day. We're watching all of them to see what's new and choosing the highest impact, best offerings, and we invest actively. So if you're interested in joining this group, we invite you to do that. We'd welcome your participation and hope that you will. Again, we meet on the third Tuesday of the month at 1:30. Sign up at impactcherub.com. I publish a newsletter with Chandon's help. Chandon writes a lot of the posts now. He's the editor of the newsletter. And we publish a little more often than every day. We do have a weekly digest option so that you can get just one email a month or a week if you prefer. Visit superpowers4good.com to sign up. Throughout the show today, you can submit questions at Q&A or go to 4sc.fund/question or scan this QR code. What we'll be talking about today comes straight out of my book, Crowdfunding Made Simple, a step-by-step guide to raising capital using AI tools. This is the resource. And you can get a free download. You can buy a copy, at just about any online bookstore. You can order it from your local bookstore if you want. Just ask them for a copy. They'll get it in for you. If you want to support your local bookshop, if you visit bookshop.org, you can get a copy of it there. But you can get a free download right now at 4sc.fund/CMS free, or just scan that QR code. One of the things that can help you raise money better as an entrepreneur is to begin thinking like an investor. And my guide to impact investing with crowdfunding, how to make money with impact crowdfunding, is also available as a free download. Again, you can order this online if you want. Sadly, this book is only available from Amazon, but you can get it there. And again, 4sc.fund/ebook free will get you a free download. So check that out. After today's session, we will also have a private VIP Q&A. I'm not going to share any new content, but I will be taking questions. And this gives you an opportunity to ask more personal, more specific questions about your circumstance. And I can help you make some progress toward choosing a portal that would be just right for your circumstance and situation. So to join us, it's just $25. Visit 4sc.fund/VIPAUG, August, right? VIPAUG there at the end, 4sc.fund/VIPAUG. Tomorrow and Friday is the biggest event of the year for the SuperCrowd. It's SuperCrowd 25. Wow. Hundreds and hundreds of people have already registered, and you don't even need to register to watch. It'll be streaming on E360 TV, where the SuperCrowdHour is. That's where most of you are watching right now, is on E360 TV. We'll be at SuperCrowd 25 tomorrow all day. Starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and then we'll be again on Friday, again all day. It's going to be a great event. Please join us. There is also a VIP experience that is amazing, all kinds of private features for networking with the speakers and the sponsors and the other VIPs. This will give you a better than in-person event experience for coming away with new contacts, leads, investors, etc. Check it out. Visit visit the supercrowd25.com to learn more and to register. I hope to see you there. I need to thank our sponsors, the people who make the Super Crowd Hour possible. We're streaming this to all of you for free, right? No one paid to be here right now. It's our sponsors that make that possible. We thank them.
Digital Niche Agency is the top investor acquisition agency. DNA has helped founders raise over 9 figures via regulated investment crowdfunding with a 3-pronged strategy using digital advertising, content marketing, and strategic outreach. You can't argue with success, but you can learn from it. Put the best to work for you. Book a call today.
The property was dilapidated. It was horrible. It was code violations, drugs, crime, rundown RV trailers, no parking lot, no lights at night, just nothing. Our main focus is second chance housing. A lot of affordable housing households are led by single mothers. Our portfolio is 100% affordable. So our mandate is to be 20 to 30% below market rent. I'm personally $180,000 invested. We're only one of 2 companies globally to have a published social impact report for affordable housing on a Morningstar platform.
We're grateful for the support we've received from Move the Needle with Rob Kaplan and Ridgecrest Herbals, a certified B Corp. We appreciate our co-hosts.
Prepare to be inspired by Devin Thorpe, a powerhouse in impact journalism and social good advocacy. This best-selling author hosts the acclaimed Superpowers for Good TV show featuring global changemakers like Bill Gates. With a readership of over 2 million, his 500-plus Forbes articles have shaped the dialogue on purpose-driven leadership and crowdfunding innovation. A sought-after speaker from the United Nations to Johnson & Johnson, Devin's unique blend of expertise as a former CFO and investment banker fuels his captivating presentations. Please welcome the dynamic and visionary Devin Thorpe, here to empower us all to harness our superpowers for good.
Well, welcome. Let's get to work here. We came to talk about your portal, your future, how to choose the right Reg CF program. So let's jump in and get this going here. The reality is your platform choice can make or break your raise. Each portal has kind of a very different experience. And so, being on the wrong portal is a little bit like a dog chasing a car down the street, right? Nothing happens. It's not a productive activity. The dog's never going to catch the car. The worst case scenario is the dog gets squished by the car, right? We've all seen that. It's tragic. On the other hand, right, if you are the puppy asking the right audience, good things happen. So I want to encourage you to really think deeply about how you will be, which portal is right for you. There are a lot of portals. I mentioned that there are a lot, and there are a lot. There are 3 or 4 that are most well known. Start Engine, Republic, and WeFunder have had probably the dominant brands in the space for a long time. Dealmaker is a little less well known, but Dealmaker is raising more money now than any of them in recent months. They're focusing pretty exclusively on the larger offerings. They don't do as many offerings, and they have other features that are different. We'll talk more about some of the things that make Dealmaker unique. But there are literally dozens: Net Capital, Climatize, Honeycomb Credit, Funding Hope, and many, many, many more out there. And each has a unique personality. Like at Funding Hope, it's a portal where the focus is on addressing the United Nations as Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, right? And so they're looking at every deal, screening to make sure that it somehow connects to accomplishing those goals, so that an investment is advancing a solution, which is a great model. Net Capital has had a lot of success. Funding Hope and Net Capital have a little lower fees than some of the big ones, especially. So that's appealing to many people for good reason. WeFunder is a public benefit corporation. It styles itself very much as a community or resource. And so each of these has a real kind of community. Honeycomb Credit, SMBX, they do a lot of small business loans and helpful to a lot of people. I love to invest in those portals. So there are a lot. That's my point, right? There are a lot. And each one is different. And arguably, there is a best one for you, maybe not a perfect one for you, but a best one. That figuring that out is not easy or automatic. One of the key steps is to get your phone and look for an opportunity to call them. I know I sometimes look at my phone and I forget that I can do that crazy thing where, like in the olden days, I can dial a phone number and call someone and talk to them on the phone. But that's a key thing. You've got to figure out, by attempting a phone call, or you could use a Zoom conversation, but you've got to start having the dialogue to get a genuine sense of what are they offering, what kind of help can they give you at each stage. Some of the big portals, some of the most successful, expect you to do more up front, provide less help up front, but they give you a lot more help down the road. That's really helpful if you're doing a big raise, but if you're only doing a small raise, maybe that's less important. So you've got to be thinking about all of these things. But one of the key steps, talk to the people there. Don't just sign up. This is such an important decision. Don't just do your online research and make the call that way. There are some key considerations. Are you interested in issuing debt or equity? Debt has the burden of, you've got to make payments, on some sort of a schedule, right? That's the very nature of debt, is you're going to commit to giving the money back. Equity gives you much more flexibility, but ultimately you might have to pay back a lot more. Let me give you a for instance, right? If you borrow money for 5 years at 10%, for every dollar you invest, you'll have to pay back roughly $1.75, $1.80. That's a lot, right? It's a lot more than what you borrowed. You got to pay back with interest over 5 years. Well, if you are collecting equity investments, your investors might reasonably expect to get 10 times or 100 times their money back. So, if you raise $100,000, they're looking to get $1 million, maybe $10 million. Holy cow. That's pressure, right? If you raise $1 million, they're expecting at least 10 million, hoping for $100 million back. Wow. Okay, so debt versus equity is an important decision. We'll talk more about that in future Super Crowd hours and how you make that decision. But as you make that decision, that influences which portal you're on, because some portals are really set up well to handle debt offerings and less effective at equity offerings, and others vice versa. Uh, some portals are a little more flexible than others. Uh, you know, I saw something truly creative and unique at Funding Hope earlier this year. That what they had done is to literally give investors three different options. They could invest in one of three different securities on the portal at the same time. So they were, in essence, operating three different simultaneous offerings. Very intriguing approach. But that kind of creativity is not going to fly at every shop. So if you are looking for something, if you want to do an offering that is truly unique, you've spent some time with your attorneys and smart people thinking about how to structure the deal, and you've got a great way, works for you, and you think it's fair to investors, there are some portals that are not going to tolerate that kind of creativity as well. So you want to be thinking about whether you want to do kind of a standard, plain old, use a template kind of offering. Nothing wrong with that. That's familiar to investors. They kind of like that, right? They don't have to figure out what the new offering is. On the other hand, if you want to be creative, unique, you need to be on a portal where they tolerate that. It may also be important to you to have clear mission alignment, right? And so a lot of the portals, Honeycomb Credit, WeFunder, Funding Hope, Climatize, there are a bunch of them out there that are very focused on social impact in one way or another. And so you may be able to find a very comfortable home with your offering if you are focused on social impact, like I am, on one of those portals. If that's less important to you, you may not screen for that, right? You may look to be at a different portal. I think about one of our friends in the industry, Fala Capital, does a lot for veterans. It's probably the most veteran-focused portal. It's technically a broker-dealer, but they operate, in essence, a funding portal. How much you're raising is a big factor, right? If you want to raise $75,000 and you call Dealmaker, they're going to kind of laugh at you. When you hear their deal structure, their fee structure, you're going to walk away quickly. But the reality is, the portal you're using is a big factor in how how much you're going to raise, right? And there is nothing wrong with raising a little bit of money. But if you're going to raise a little bit of money, you want to be on a portal where there are a lot of other people raising a little bit of money, right? The people who are raising $30,000, $50,000. If you're raising that, you don't want to be necessarily one of the portals where everyone's raising $500,000, $2 million, $5 million. That's not a comfortable place. Okay. And then you got to figure out what your marketing budget is and what they expect you to spend. In fact, some of the portals, Dealmaker, for instance, Start Engine, will require you to pay. Even Honeycomb Credit as a small marketing fee that they will charge you. So you've got to look at all of those options, including your marketing budget, for choosing your portal. So let's talk about, I'm going to try and get into the weeds just a little bit on a few of these. These are some of the portals that I'm familiar with, but I've invested in more than a dozen different portals, in offerings on at least a dozen different portals. And I have visited with the founders and executives of many more. And so I have a level of familiarity with a lot, but I want to just sort of get into the weeds to kind of look at how they differ. So Dealmaker really does focus on larger offerings. So if you're doing a Reg CF offering, if you're not raising at least $1 million, it probably doesn't make sense for you to be on that portal. They're going to charge a substantial upfront fee to help you get your marketing together. That's a key part of what they're going to do for you. And so if you don't have the cash to pay that upfront fee, it's probably not a good fit for you. So Dealmaker isn't great, but as I said earlier in the show, I don't think anyone's raising more money than they are right now under Reg CF. Certainly when you look at Reg CF and Reg A offerings combined, Dealmaker is really crushing it. They did a $75 million offering earlier this year. And so that's really their focus. So again, if you were trying to raise 50 or 100 or 124,000, that's a popular number for reasons we won't get into today. Dealmaker's not the place for you to be. That's not where you want to go. It's not a fit. Not a fit. Even though they're great. They're great. WeFunder is, I think they may be doing the most offerings of anyone in the industry right now, right? They get the lion's share of the deals. And they have, as a result, I think they have the biggest community of people who have invested. And everybody who invests ends up on the WeFunder list. So until and unless you unsubscribe, you're going to get emails promoting new offerings. So that gives them an ability to help issuers in a way that most cannot. And that can be either free or cheap, depending. But here's the thing. WeFunder really won't do anything for you until you reach a minimum goal that's kind of substantial. You've got to get at least $50,000, as I understand it, before they're going to start promoting your offering to their community. And even then, their level of promotion will grow as your success grows. So if you are doing a small raise, if you're hoping to raise $50,000 or $100,000, WeFunder may not be the best option. It's better if you're raising 100 to 200 at least, maybe looking to get that 500 to $1 million. That's kind of the sweet spot for using WeFunder, where you can really leverage their community and take advantage of the fact that they will get excited about and help you promote your offering as you achieve success from your own efforts and your own community. SMBX, very different portal. A typical offering on SMBX is raising about $50,000. It's always debt. There are no alternatives. If you go to SMBX, and I love SMBX, I've invested many, many times on SMBX, and quite frankly, maybe my favorite place to invest because of the way they operate the portal. I probably invested more on WeFunder. They have more offerings. And so WeFunder's great, but I love SMBX. But they're going to tell you exactly what your deal terms are. Your ability to negotiate there is somewhat limited. And so it's great if you are looking for a small business loan and your local bank won't give you the loan either because you want to borrow too little or don't quite qualify. But if you're an operating business and you've got revenue and you want to raise $30,000, $50,000, $100,000, and you want to pay it back over the next 2 to 5 years, making monthly payments, there is not a better portal for that. I think that's just the simple answer. There's not a better portal. Now they're going to screen deals, and so if you don't have a clear path to paying that money back, crystal clear, They're probably not going to put you on the portal. But low fees for issuers, low fees for investors. It's a great portal. Funding Hope. I talked about Funding Hope already a little bit. Funding Hope, they've sponsored a lot of our work, and Funding Hope is, I think, the most creative. They're absolutely passionate about this idea of supporting the UN SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So that's things like ending poverty and ending climate change, supporting women, educating children. There are lots of things that tie into that. A surprising number of things that do. So don't rule them out because you're not sure if you're a fit. Check it out. But one of the things I have seen at Funding Hope that I love the most about the way they're operating is that they allow such incredible creativity in the offering structure. So you can go there and do something a little unusual, a little out of the box, and they'll work with you to figure out how to make that work for you and your investors. So that's really a powerful option. But you can tell as we talk about these portals that there is so much to learn and understand, and that's why I think it's so important for you to do your due diligence, to really begin looking at what works, what doesn't work for you, to put yourself kind of in the context, if you will, of your of the investors, and to be thinking about this. So let's talk through some of the things to do to continue your due diligence. One of the things you want to do for sure, and we'll get into AI here in a second, but one of the things you want to do for sure is to talk to, I'm getting a little carried away. You want to talk to to people who have raised successfully on the portal that you're interested in, and you want to talk to people who have attempted to raise on the portal unsuccessfully. If you haven't had a conversation with one of each, you're not ready to make a decision before you get on that portal. You've got to talk to one of each, at least one of each. All the portals have had people even the portals I love the most. I see it all the time because I mentioned that Chandon and I, we're looking at every new offering. We focus on those that, and so we'll dig deep on those that have some social impact, diverse founders, community impact. We're looking for that kind of stuff. So we're digging into those. And here's the thing. We find them all the time. And we'll track these, and they'll have $0 raised, right? So they went through all the exercise to get an offering together, got it live, got it registered with the SEC, did the whole thing, and then didn't raise $1. Now, I say that's common. It's common enough that I can point you to at least one or two right now this minute, right, that are live offerings, $0 raised. So you don't want to be in that boat, right? So all the portals have some that have been unsuccessful. You want to talk to them, figure out why did it not work. There is a tendency at all the portals for them to tell you that they will provide more help than you will think you have experienced when you are done. That's a reality. All the portals tend to give you the impression, one way or another, intentionally or otherwise, that they will provide more help and support than they will. That's a reality. I'm sure all of them, in the fine print and in the agreements, they're telling you all the details, right? That this is really on you. It's your community. It's your work that makes this happen. I'm sure they're all telling you that. But it's so easy for issuers to get the impression that they're going to do the heavy lifting. And different portals do more than others. They're not all the same. So it's important to sort of be aware of those differences. So you've got to talk to people. That's a key step. Talk to people who have raised and people who have unsuccessfully attempted to raise on the portal. Okay, now let's get into this, how AI can help. Because as I've said over and over, there are a lot of portals. And so you've got to be thinking about what the options are that are best for you in a very careful way, and AI can help you process all that data. So here's a preliminary prompt you could use for getting a first screen of portals that you might consider. So, can you provide a list of crowdfunding platforms specializing in debt, equity, climate solution, whatever, right? Describe your business a little bit and summarize their key features, target audiences, and fee structures, right? That'd give you a first cut. Now, one of the things that I would tell you to do for sure is I would clarify probably that you're talking about investment crowdfunding platforms or Reg CF platforms. That's a good tip for improving on this prompt. And then give it as much information about your business as you dare, right? I know there are privacy concerns around AI. I get that. There are privacy concerns around telling someone you trust details about your business, right? You can't stop them from sharing. You can only yell at them, sue them if they do, right? The more information you give an advisor, the better the advice gets. The more information you give AI, the better the advice gets. So the more you tell it about your business, the better your results will be as you seek this screen. Now, it may not be as comprehensive as you would like. There is in my book a link to the FINRA list of all of the registered portals. About a third to almost half don't have any offerings right now. They're easy to screen out, relatively speaking, but there are dozens that are operating and have offerings live right now. And so you want to be participating, looking at all of those. And so if the AI tool is giving you too narrow a list to when you ask for this, you may want to ask it again. No, go broad, or give it the FINRA list and say, hey, ChatGPT, Gemini, you gotta dig a little deeper here. Let's look at all the options. Let's not narrow it down before too early in the process. We want to start broad funnel here. Okay. And after you have obtained some preliminary information about portals and you're starting to narrow down, then you can ask follow-up questions about a subset of platforms. And I think AI can handle virtually an unlimited list. The more portals you add to this query, the less information you'll be likely to get about each. But you could put 12 in there, you could put 6 in there, you could put 2 in there, whatever you want. And then ask for details about each, and it can even build a nice table for you to help you kind of summarize how they work after you've done some of your own analysis to choose which are the ones that seem to be the best fit, right? So I want to get just a little bit into the weeds here. I did, for the purpose of this webinar, I wrote this prompt as kind of the graduate level version of this, right? And so this is an actual prompt that I drafted. Let me put this a little bigger on the screen for you so you can read it a little more clearly. Not that this is ever going to be easy to read because the font is pretty small, but this prompt is almost 200 words long, right? And I gave this to ChatGPT. ChatGPT knows me pretty well. I use ChatGPT many, many times a day. I frequently have 2 or 3 different ChatGPT windows open at the same time because I'm working on different things simultaneously with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT knows me pretty well. Even still, I gave ChatGPT a lot of information about my business and explained I want to raise $500,000 in a Reg CF round, and I want to use a revenue-based financing approach for my security. I haven't settled on the deal terms, but I want a portal that'll work with me on that. That's familiar with that structure. It can be genuinely helpful in that regard. And so my goal here was not to get the answer. My goal was to get the question. You say, wait a minute, this is the question, right? You know enough to ask the question. No, what I was trying to do is to get a much deeper, carefully, strategically structured question that would work for a deep research prompt. A deep research prompt can be much, much longer. And so the result is going to be much more comprehensive. So what am I talking about? So this prompt, asking for the deep research prompt, was almost 200 words. ChatGPT delivered a prompt that was a very detailed, comprehensive outline that was almost 600 words long and formatted in a normal human way, it was about a 3-page prompt. Pretty crazy, right? So I took that 3-page prompt, gave that back to ChatGPT, turned on the deep research mode to get the research, right? The full research. And it delivered a 40-page report answering the question about which portals would be the best for me. And so I'm going to put this up on the screen for a minute while you have the option to pull this up. If you're curious about this, go to 4sc.fund/deep. Now, remember, I did this as an example for you, but I used my business. So the answer it gives is, unless you're Chandon, right? My colleague, it's probably not a relevant answer, but it will give you a sense of the capability of AI for delivering this kind of data and analysis. Now, that said, I will admit quite readily that I agreed with everything, but I'm not sure that means it's wrong. So let me pull up the report. I'll pull it up here on the screen so that you can see it here, wherever I got it hidden. There it is. So this is the actual report, formatted in this large font now. The total is 105 pages, right? So here's my initial prompt that I showed you before. And then here's the deep research prompt that ChatGPT suggested I use. And I reviewed this pretty thoughtfully. In the end, I didn't change a word of this lengthy prompt. And so after I delivered this prompt, ChatGPT will ask for some clarifying questions. So I answered its clarifying questions, and then it proceeded to draft this report. If you use Gemini for this kind of thing, which is great, very comparable tool, but if you use Gemini, rather than ask you questions, it will show you its plan of attack. You could argue it's a better approach. Gives you its complete plan of attack for completing the assignment, and gives you the option to edit the plan of attack, right? So that you can say, no, don't spend your time on this. Do this instead, or whatever. And so then it delivered this report. Again, in this large font format now, the result is 90 pages, 95 pages of analysis about the different portal options that I could use to raise $500,000 using a revenue-based financing approach for my mission-oriented business. And again, there's some of this that I kind of disagree with. I feel like it wasn't quite, it didn't use quite a broad enough lens. I would have preferred a longer list in the analysis. But still, if I were a novice and got this report, this would tell me tons of information. You say, well, maybe it's making this stuff up. And it could be, and I haven't checked all the sources, but let's just scroll down here. Let's look at the sources, right? So it has identified, it's providing links to the dozens and dozens of sources that it used for this report. And so throughout the report, it has referenced these various articles and links. And so it's got about 120 footnotes in the report that track back to, relevant information. So this was for me a very helpful result. I felt good about this. Again, let's go back to my slides here. If you would like to take a look at that report, and I realize it's a lot there. You don't have to read the whole thing. You could download it and give it to ChatGPT and say, give me a summary of this report. You can just look at the summaries at the beginning and the end. Look at there's a 2-paragraph, verdict at the end of the report. I don't think the verdict is important, so I'm not going to tell you what it was, but you're welcome to download this just to see it. And that gives you a sense of how thorough, the AI bots can be at helping you. Again, it isn't your whole process, right? I got to emphasize, you still need to talk to the portal, have the conversations. In fact, I'd talked to several of them after you've done some of this online research to narrow it down. Have the conversations. Then you also want to be talking to at least one person who's raised successfully and one person who didn't raise successfully. If you're not talking to people, as you do this analysis, you're not going to get the right answer, right? You've got to have that. So there's a very human aspect. The AI research is not a substitute for your judgment. It's not a substitute for your own research, talking to people, but it is a powerful complement, right? It's a powerful part of that analysis, right? You want to think of that as maybe the 2 leaves of a book, right? You've got to do both. If you're not getting some of the data and processing all of the data out there with help from a computer, you're probably not getting a complete picture. If you're not talking to people who've had the firsthand experience, you're not getting the complete picture. You got to do both. Okay. Now, I am happy to take some questions now. If you can scan the QR code, and if there are no questions, it's not a problem. We're happy to take them. But if you've got a question, scan the QR code or just type into your browser 4sc.fund/question. I've been talking for an hour here. We would love to have you ask a question, participate. I want to reiterate the invitation to join our VIP session. Let's see, let me get that screen up here. Oh, there it goes. So, 4sc.fund/VIP-AUG, 4sc.fund/VIP-AUG will give you an opportunity to work together in a more hands-on way. We limit this VIP session to just 10 people. So if you've got a question, I will answer it. I promise you. We will stay in that session until everyone gets their questions answered. This will be a very hands-on session, and this is how you can get some personal advice really cheap. So I encourage you to check it out, take advantage of this opportunity. And let me also invite you to join us tomorrow and Friday for SuperCrowd 25. We've got this 2-day event. This is the biggest event of the year that we do. And I tell you, it's bigger than ever by orders of magnitude this year. I'm just so thrilled and excited. We have so many more people registering this year than in the past. And here's the thing, you don't even need to register to attend, right? You can just watch it. But if you register, we'll give you details on the best way to watch it. We'll coach you on how you can interact with us, because there will be genuine interaction. Even if you're watching this event for the next 2 days on television, you can submit questions like you can today with the QR code, right? You can submit questions. We'll ask you to vote on the live pitch sessions. We'll have live pitch sessions on both days. And so we'll be choosing winners, and the audience will be choosing winners. Our judges will be choosing winners. You get to vote. So it's going to be very interactive, even if you're just watching on television. But our VIPs get a really special experience, right? We put together a VIP directory. And so everyone who signs up as a VIP can get their name in the directory. And that becomes a resource for all of our VIPs. We'll publish that in a kind of a PDF format, take home after the event, so that becomes a permanent guide to some of the people you could still connect with after the event and say, hey, I was a VIP at SuperCrowd 25 too, want to chat. So that the VIP directory will have a VIP LinkedIn group. We started this VIP LinkedIn group weeks ago. So this is an opportunity for you. If you're on LinkedIn, and I would encourage you to be on LinkedIn. If you're in business, you got to be on LinkedIn. You've got to. This is such a tremendous opportunity to build your community with experts, investors, entrepreneurs, change makers. This is a great community. You want to be a part of this community and get to know the people in there. And so, as a member of the group, you can go see who are all the members of the group. It's a good-sized group, lots of great people in it, but it's not an infinite scroll, right? You're not going to be there 2 days trying to figure out who are all these people. It's a list, but it's not too many. So take advantage. And then, oh my gosh, we're just getting warmed up. So the VIP experience also includes an opportunity to go backstage. So we've got 18 hours of content over 2 days, and for all 18 hours there is a backstage experience happening live. So we'll be streaming to E360 TV, streaming to YouTube, streaming to Facebook, streaming to Substack, and at the same time, we'll be in the Zoom room where our speakers, sponsors will be hanging out. Think of it as the green room, maybe think of it as the hallway, whatever you want to think of it as. That's a place where you can go and actually chit chat with people without disturbing the people who are on stage, like you would at a conference when you might pop into the hallway to grab a speaker after they speak. So it's a great experience. Then we've got, so that's there going on 18 hours of, holy cow, 18 hours of backstage experience, plus the VIPs get a VIP networking session where everyone is invited to come together. We'll break people into small groups several times. We'll create a forum where people can then choose their partners to go visit in the different breakout rooms. So it's going to be great. And then we have also a VIP only session. At the end of the conference on Friday evening, I'll be doing a VIP webinar. And so there is one last experience, one last opportunity to participate there. So with just for our VIPs only. So $25 for all of that. It's such a screaming good deal. So I hope you'll come participate at SuperCrowd 25. It's going to be a great experience. Again, that starts tomorrow morning at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and runs for about 9 hours. And then we start over on Friday. So check it out. Andrew, that's a great question. I appreciate you submitting that question. That is a terrific question. So from an investor's perspective, what should we look for in a platform to ensure transparency, trust, and alignment with our values? As an investor who is passionate about values alignment, passionate about transparency, I would say this about that. This is a regulated marketplace, and the portals are all regulated. They are required by law and subject to real scrutiny to ensure that they are providing and behaving in a clear and transparent way. So, I hate to oversimplify, but the simple answer is they all are pretty good at that. Now, are some better than others? Yeah. I find a few of the portals are very deliberate about submitting Form Cs to the SEC, and the SEC accepts this, and I think the SEC should not accept these. But they flatten them. And what that means is that they are no longer searchable, no longer machine readable. And some of the portals will submit them in a tiny, tiny font, making them almost impossible to read. So there are behaviors that I think are genuinely bad. WeFunder is the worst, in my experience. Let me hasten to add, I've invested more on WeFunder than any other portal. And they have a secret workaround. I've never seen this publicly disclosed, but you can get the Form C document in a fully searchable, very legible way on the WeFunder website. So if you find the offering, so let's say that the business that's raising money is called Super Company, right? So you would go to wefunder.com/supercompany. But you're going to add another slash, and then you're going to type in lowercase form_C and hit enter on your browser as the URL. And that's going to pull up a fully readable, savable version of the Form C that is totally usable, unlike the version that is sitting on the SEC website. So WeFunder has this weird pattern of sort of being both the worst and the best, but it's a secret that they don't share publicly. I don't understand that. So that's kind of my view of the portals. I think Honeycomb Credit and SMBX do a great job of transparency and disclosure. One of the things I love about Honeycomb Credit is that they celebrate that mission alignment on every offering. They identify every possible aspect of social impact, right? Diverse founders, women, LGBTQ founders, all of that. They celebrate everything, whether that's a climate benefit, whatever it might be. They celebrate all of that. SMBX has the same kind of offerings, oftentimes with the same kinds of benefits, and they don't talk about it at all on the website. I don't understand that. I don't understand. Why would you do that? So anyway, different personalities. So a great question. Thanks for asking. We've gone over our time. We're going to wrap up now. I hope to see you in the VIP room soon. Here in just a minute, we'll be getting started.